Good afternoon, America. It's the Big Red One guy reminding you that together we must break the machine. Well, I've been MIA this week, had some medical stuff that I had to attend to. As of right now, I got a clear bill of health, so everything's kind of good. We'll see. I had some testing done, so we'll see next week when the test results return. But anyway, there's been some positive news for Gina Carano in her lawsuit against Disney for wrongful termination. She was in court probably about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe this report came out. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's not something that has been reported widely because the mainstream media just kind of sucks. They suck ass. But she caught a win. Disney has been trying to settle with her, and my understanding, she's not even looking to like take them to the cleaners. She's looking for like 75 grand and to return back as the character of Cara Dune. So, there was an article in the Hollywood Reporter, I think it was. Uh, yeah, the Hollywood Reporter. And it was actually a pretty good article that came out on June 12th. So that was definitely last week, not this past week. And I didn't really hear much about it until the till like the middle of this week. So some of you might not have heard about it either. But we're gonna get into it, and I'm gonna read the article. So this video might be a little bit longer than it needs to be, but there's just information in there that you have to take in. So the article is actually pretty fair. There wasn't anybody being bashed or anything like that. The only rants that'll come probably be mine as I'm reading this article to you. So let's get into it right now. The article title is Mandalorian Firing Lawsuit: How Gina Carano's team and Disney are battling in court. And it was an article by Winston Cho dated June 12th, 2024. And I will put in the description, I will put in a link to this article so that in case you want to read it again after I read it, you can. And that way you can kind of get information on your own and make your own decisions about what's going on. So said at a Wednesday hearing, a judge expressed skepticism that the Carano lawsuit should be tossed before discovery is allowed to take place. So Disney's been trying to get it like chucked from court because they don't want discovery, because discovery is probably not going to look good for them. And I'm sure Gina Carano has got some receipts on prior to them firing her so that she can prove that she was wrongfully terminated. And they're gonna have to produce information as well. And I don't think Disney wants that. So the article says a federal judge has signaled that Gina Carano's lawsuit against Disney and Lucasfilm over her termination from The Mandalorian will be allowed to proceed as the court considers whether the First Amendment allows private companies to sever ties with employees who publicly clash with their values. And like I said, Disney's been trying to get this chucked out of court. So the good thing is that this judge is, it's not the judge is supposed to be impartial, but as we see what's going on with President Trump, in his most recent when he got convicted for 34 counts of garbage that really wouldn't be brought up against anybody. The judge was corrupt, and the hush money case as well. Oh well, that's that one. That's that one. But the case he had before that too, um, the court was corrupt in that too, in the hush money case and stuff. So it's just like it's just ridiculous what's going on with our legal system, the lawfare that is going on against people who the establishment may not like is really terrible. Anyway, let's get back into this. U.S. District Judge, sorry, Sherilyn P. Scarnett on Wednesday pushed back on arguments from Disney lawyer Daniel Petrocelli, who argued that the lawsuit should be dismissed because the company has the right not to associate with a high-profile performer on a high-profile show who's imbuing the Star Wars series with views it disagrees with that could turn fans away from the show. So this is straight garbage. If you know anything that's going on with Disney right now, they've been attacking fans left and right. They've been doing that for years, but they're really going all in, especially because the most recent series, the Acolyte, that I've been respectively calling it the Ascalite because it is a show that is just straight ass, okay, and it's getting absolutely ratioed by real fans. It's at like a 14% Rotten Tomato score right now. It's horrible. The fans, real Star Wars fans, can't stand it. It's just a bastion of lokes and awfuls and stuff like that, and it's just terrible. Anyway, says Petrocelli urged the court to find in favor of Disney on its First Amendment defense on dismissal, rather than at a later stage of litigation after discovery takes place, which it is determined whether the case should be allowed to proceed to trial. They just do not want discovery to happen because what happens is in discovery, okay, um, both sides have to produce they just both have to produce essentially evidence, okay, for and against. So when they're doing that, there might be some stuff in there that's kind of damaging for Disney, because Disney kind of been taking L's recently, and this is their latest one. Uh, the judge says, I'm not convinced there are no disputed facts, Judge Garnett responded. She pointed to allegations that Carano was terminated to deflect attention from Disney's contentious business decisions at the time, including the company's contract dispute with Scarlett Johansson and criticism of Florida's parental rights and education law, which led to the dissolution of its special tax district in the state. So if you remember that, uh, the state of Florida essentially 86 Disney's special tax incentives that they were getting for doing business in the state. Although there's some back and forth on that. There's also evidence that that really didn't necessarily happen. They kind of got some concessions from the state, and but that's like another talk show. And at the time, it's true, Scarlett Johansson was pissed off about the money she made for the Black Widow movie because it didn't go into the movie theaters. I believe it went straight to Disney Plus, so it didn't make as much money as it should have. So I think she sued him and won. Since the lawsuit arose on allegations from Carano that she was wrongfully terminated and discriminated against when she was booted from the series for voicing right wing opinions on social media. The former MMA fighter appeared on the first two seasons of The Mandalorian. She wasn't under contract to appear on the third season or any other Disney production, according to court filings. That's actually a crock of shit because they were going to do the Republic Rangers, which was going to be about her. So technically there wasn't any contracts. They're right about that. Okay, so she didn't sign anything saying that she was going to be in a new series or anything like that. And to my knowledge, she didn't have a third season with the Mandalorian, but that was probably because they were in the process of trying to fire her, so they didn't bring up a new contract for her to be added into the story for Mandalorian season three, because there was an episode of Mandalorian season three where they actually talk about her not by name, but they mention her as the Marshal, and that she went on to do some stuff for the Republic in order to write her out of the series, which was terrible. Says Carano sued after Lucasfilm in 2021 announced that she wouldn't be returning to the series after sharing a post in which she said most people today don't realize to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. And then the post continued, how is that any different from hating someone for their political views? She advanced claims that Disney violated California labor laws prohibiting employers from directing workers' political activity and reprimanding employees on the basis of political speech. So what you have to understand is she wasn't she wasn't saying anything about, trying to compare the Holocaust of the Jews, okay, during World War II to the persecution and cancel culture that is going on currently with anybody who has an opposing opinion and is not part of the Marxist movement. So like if you have any kind of pro-American stance or religious stance or anything like that that is just, pro positive culture, not the negative shit that's going on in our culture right now, you will get canceled absolutely immediately. Okay. And what you have to understand is she was just making a point, and her point was simply was not that we're obviously not getting rounded up and getting put into camps and having all kinds of torturous things done to us and being burned in freaking ovens. Okay, that's not what she meant. What she meant was is that it was easy for the German people to turn a blind eye, okay, because the German government, okay, the Nazi party was able to convince Germans to essentially turn on their neighbors, many of them who were German Jews. Okay, they were Germans, they were German by birth in the country of Germany, and because of their faith being Jewish, they were essentially, tried to be wiped out with Hitler's final solution. So she wasn't saying that the Holocaust, was happening to the cancellation culture and the suppression of free speech that's going on in our country right now, because you can't talk out about anything. You're an istophobe or whatever it is. If you have any kind of opinion on anything, she wasn't comparing it to that. All she was trying to say is that the government and not only the government but the because what was going on too was, remember, this was around COVID. Okay, so the government was trying to get you to tell on your neighbors and to turn them in and stuff like that if they had COVID and they weren't vaxxed, and to make a big deal out of it and stuff like that. So it was a terrible thing that went on in 2021. People's families were broken apart. It was just a horrible thing. The forced vaccination in order to keep your jobs. A lot of people had to go through that. A lot of people lost their jobs too because they didn't give in. So she wasn't trying to compare anything to do with the Holocaust that happened to the Jews. What she was trying to say is like was that in comparison, the Holocaust started because the German government, the Nazis, were able to convince the populace that the Jews were the evil people. Okay. And then that's what's going on right now. So if you have any kind of pro-America stance, and you believe America first, over everything right now, because we're struggling as a nation and we keep struggling because we're not taking care of the things that we need to in this nation for the American people first, then you need to be condemned because that's not the political message. So anyway, it goes on to say at Wednesday's hearing, Gene Shar, a lawyer for the actress, stressed that the comments at issue in the case were made from Carano's personal social media accounts. Nothing she said was on the show or on set, he said as Carano sat at the defense table in the courtroom. That may not matter, at least according to to Disney. The company claimed that there are broad liberties afforded to private speakers and what viewpoints they choose and don't choose to express. In a case dealing with free speech rights, the Supreme Court held that organizers of a parade had a constitutional right not to include in the event a group seeking to express a message that they didn't want to convey. The organizer's decision to exclude a message it did not like fell within its right as a private speaker to shape its expression by speaking on one subject by remaining silent, the court found. That was at the time. So essentially, there was a group of people who were going to be part of a parade, and there was a speaker that they didn't agree with, and they were able to keep that speaker from speaking. And I guess they went to court, and the speaker lost. Disney argued there's a First Amendment right to choose employees who properly convey their values. What you have to understand, Disney values right now are absolutely in disarray. They're not a family friendly company like they used to be. They don't care about kids. The only thing they care about right now is grooming children into into the what do you call it, the alphabet mob mentality, and they try to do it as subtle as possible, but it's not really as subtle as you think because it's really in your face. All you have to do is look at the acolyte with what's going on. A lesbian coven of witches, okay, through the force, create two children, two female children, in order to groom them to become lesbian witches when they get older. How much obvious is that right there? So they're not on any kind of family value or anything like that. Their value is for the 2% of the world population that is front and center right now, being able to push their argument on the American people and force people to speak a certain way. Under those cases, Disney said that, well, I'm sorry, Disney argued this first amendment right choose, right? Sorry about that. It cited the Supreme Court in Boy Scouts of America versus Dale, finding that the organization's decision to fire an openly gay assistant scoutmaster is protected under the Constitution. That constitutional right, the court concluded, shields the scouts from violations of New Jersey discrimination laws. Well, the Boy Scouts were kind of a bit of a religious organization. They used to meet up in churches and stuff like that. That was where the dens were. And the Boy Scouts aren't even in the Boy Scouts anymore because they allowed girls to come in. Then they eventually did allow uh, people from the alphabet mob to be den mothers and pack leaders and all that other crap that goes on in the Boy Scouts of America. And they've had problems for a long time. So the Boy Scouts don't even really exist anymore. Under those two cases, Disney said that the state can't force employers engaged in expressive activity. In Disney's case, movies and TV shows to convey its message to speakers like Carano, who allegedly impair its ability to properly express its value, which it said include respect, integrity, and inclusion. The First Amendment, it claimed, entitles it to protect its speech in the Star Wars series from association with views that it and many viewers considered offensive and contrary to its message. There wasn't many viewers, okay? Let's just be clear here. the three generations of Star Wars fans that Disney has essentially told to go fuck off, that we're not gonna create good Star Wars stories. We're not gonna adhere to any of the what George Lucas created. We're gonna do what we want. We don't care what you want. We're gonna cater to the 2% of the population who belong to the alphabet mob, and that's what we're gonna do. We don't give a fuck about any of you guys, even though they're losing all kinds of money. Their toys don't sell. They're getting absolutely ratio. People are just destroying it. All you have to do is look again at the Rotten Tomatoes for the most recent show, The Acolyte, and you can see that the show itself was the showrunner is what do you call it, lesbian head case. She was what do you call it? It was approved by David Fallopian Tubes, and what's her face? Darth Kennedy, Kennedy Palpatine, Kathleen Palpatine. So it's a disaster over at Disney with Star Wars. So they fired someone for really not saying anything very controversial. Who was just trying to point out that listen, if we continue to repeat history, okay, without actually understanding the what that history, how bad that history was about, hey, look at your neighbor, look at your partner, or look at someone in your family, and if they're not acting a certain way or being a certain way, admonish them. So just and report them too, because that's essentially what would happen. So this message is a part of the message, Petrocelli said. He posited imagine she made comments that she hates Jews or that there was no Holocaust, which she never did. So let's be clear here, okay? Gina Carano never said she hated Jews. She never said anything. She is not a Holocaust denier in the least. Okay? So that never happened. And they're trying to conflate the two issues. There are people who are genuine Jew haters, unfortunately, and are Holocaust deniers, and they were trying to link her to that. She never said anything negative about the Jewish people, okay, or the fact that the Holocaust never happened. She never said that. So let's get that clear, America. Okay, she's not a Holocaust denier, and she is not a Jew hater. In response to Disney's focus on the Supreme Court's ruling in Dale Shar said that free speech rights can't be used as a shield against violations of discrimination laws, and that the ruling in the case was based on a fully developed factual record, not the motion to dismiss stage. He underscored Disney First Amendment defense cannot allow it to short circuit the normal litigation process. Discovery will reveal whether the company violated state civil rights laws when it terminated Carano, he added. I don't necessarily disagree with you, Garnett replied. Garnett is the judge. Carano's backers include Elon Musk, who's helping fund the lawsuit through X. He said he would foot the legal bill for users who claim they have been discriminated against due to their activity on the platform. Yeah, so that's that. Okay. Did I miss anything? No, I didn't. America, it's really sad what's going on, that free speech in this country is under attack. It has been under attack for quite some time. And it's up to you, the people, to come together and say enough's enough. Okay. And the way you do that with with companies like Disney, the way you do that is you just don't buy their products. You don't go spend any money. Listen, they're losing money left and right. That Star Wars galactic cruise ship thing has absolutely got crushed. Nobody was going to it. The Acolyte series has been a disaster. The last couple of Marvel series has been a disaster. So they're just you know they're cutting off their nose to spite their face continuously. The fans keep telling them that the garbage you're putting out is just that garbage, okay? And we don't like it. And these are generations of fans, of Marvel fans, of Star Wars fans. Now they destroyed Doctor Who. Okay, like at minimum, at least three generations of fans for each one of those IPs they've managed to destroy. But anyway, this was about Gina Carano, and she got a win, so it gets to go forward, and Discovery gets to happen, and maybe we'll get some stuff out of it to show how terrible Disney is. As we already know, if you're paying attention, you know that they're a shitty company. They're just a horrible to work for, and you know, it was just terrible what they've done to her. Okay, and it's sad because they sucked their they sacked her. Okay, they tried desperately, right? What they tried to do is they were gonna, if you follow her at all and you paid attention to her story, they tried to get her on a Zoom call with a whole bunch with like 50 different members of the alphabet mob that work at Lucasfilm for her to apologize, because not for the the tweet that she did about what was discussed in the article, but she posted a tweet that said "beep bop boop," and they said somehow that that was anti-transformer. I don't understand how beep bop boop is anti-transformer, but that's what it was. So anyway, folks, that was my update about what's going on with Gina Carano. Wanted to share that article with you. Wanted to you all to know that Gina Carano is an actual beautiful person. She's done a million interviews all over the place, and you can see that she's just a very humble woman. Okay, she doesn't have anybody who's worked with her doesn't have anything bad to say about her. So all the people that worked with her on Mandalorian, including the staff that work on the set, they all loved her. Okay, she was like they called her like the mom. You know, she took care of everybody. If someone didn't have something, she went and got it for them. That's the kind of person Gina Carano is. And there are plenty of stories out there to show that. My big beef is that the cast of The Mandalorian, and she spoke highly of them, okay? Even Pablo, what his name? Pablo, whatever the fuck that dude's name is, the guy who Pascal, the guy who plays the Mandalorian. Okay, uh, he went out and said some hateful shit about Trump and Trump supporters. Right prior to all of that, nothing ever happened to him. But because Gina Carano's ideology doesn't match up, okay, with what Disney wants right now, they're a complete Marxist organization trying to groom your children into becoming things that they shouldn't. Um, that's where we're at with Disney. But Gina Carano is an absolute beautiful person. All you have to do is watch any of her interviews, and she's been like that forever. I've been watching her. I don't know her personally. All I can say is that from every article I've read about her, every interview that I've watched with her, she's a really good person. Okay, and they're trying to conflate that she was somehow uh an anti-Semite and a Holocaust denier based on the tweet that she posted. And all she was trying to say is that the Holocaust was able to happen, okay, because the German government was able to convince the German people that the Jews were evil. And that's why they were able to do that. So they turned a blind eye, okay, to the persecution of the Jews in Germany, not just Germany, from Poland, everywhere that the Germans conquered during their reign, okay, anywhere if there was Jews, they got sent away. So it's a terrible thing. Unfortunately, I'm glad Gina Carano got the win. Good for you, Gina. Your fans, those of us that are your fans, we still love you. We know you're a good person, and we know this is all bullshit. And I wish you would take them to the cleaners, but you're not even asking for a bunch of money. All you're doing is asking for basically some get back. Give me the money that you owed me, and let me be able to represent the character Cara Dune, because let's be real, Disney's probably not going to put her, even if she wins, they're probably not going to put her back in as Cara Dune, but she should be able to go to Comic Cons and everything like that, and be able to represent her character Cara Dune without any problems. So anyway, America, I am the Big Red One guy signing out, reminding you that together we must break the machine, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and to hit that little bell for notifications. So I'm come back here, back with a full vengeance. And again, I was away for some medical stuff. Everything seems to be good, and we'll get going. Next week I'll be back making videos for you throughout the week. And tomorrow I will be live, okay? If I don't have any connection issues like I had the last time, with my good friend, Marine veteran, and uh, comedian Dick Salas. So we'll see you all tomorrow, and look forward to the next video. Have a good night, America.